Hi guys, good day. Today I'm going to show you on how to configure TCP and UDP ports for SQL Server. And I'm going to do a testing, and now I'm going to open my VMware workstation. Currently, I already started my domain controller. I have two SQL servers here, Node 1 and Node 2. And I have a witness server, and this will be the server that I'm going to use to connect to Node 1 and Node 2 SQL servers, or server 1 and server 2. Okay, right now I'm going to create a UDL file. Right click on the desktop on my source witness server, right click, then click on text document, then rename the extension to .udl, then hit enter. Then are you sure you want to change it? Click yes. Then double click the file in the desktop, and in here you are supposed to you will supposed to this in this number one in the server name drop down. It should supposed to be showing node 1 and node 2. Let's confirm. Let's double check. Click the drop down list, showing empty, nothing. Let's refresh and click the drop down. It's confirmed, it's empty. So let's go to node 1 first, then let's go to the firewall. Let's try to disable the firewall. Let's go to system and security, and here in the Windows Defender firewall, let's turn it off. Click on the turn Windows Defender firewall on and off. Let's turn it off. In Click all this off, then click OK. Then let's go back to the source server witness. Let's refresh this one. Then click on the drop down list. Now it's showing node 1. It's because we turned off the firewall. So when the firewall is on, it blocks the port. In here, normally in the server list, it uses port UDP port 1434. So let's turn on the firewall again in node 1. No, let's confirm the firewall, turning off the firewall in node 2 first. Click on node 2, click on the control panel, system and security, and in the firewall, turn off the same as we did in node 1. Then let's go back to the source server. Let's confirm if it's really a firewall. Refresh, then click the drop down. Node 1 and node 2 is showing because we turned off the firewall. So it's confirmed that the firewall is blocking. So allow how do I allow uh, the ports even if we turn on the firewall? I'll show you node 1. Let's go to node 1 first. Turn on the firewall using recommended settings. Turn all the settings, turn it on, private networks and domain networks. Now, we turned this one on. I'm very sure uh, it's not showing in the list. Let's refresh. And drop down list again. Node 1 is not there anymore in the list. So it's confirmed. So um, how do we add a port? Okay, to be able to do that is you click the advanced settings. In your case, if you are not using the Windows in your server and in your company, if you're not using the Windows uh, firewall settings by default, you can still enable the ports in your it could be network address translation NAT by enabling the ports UDP and TCP 1433 and 1434. Now in this example, I'll close that one. We click the advanced settings, and here from the I'll minimize the other one because it's confusing. The window is so confusing. So now in here in the inbound, let's maximize this one. In the inbound, let's right click the inbound and click new rule. Now from here run rule type in click on port, then click next. In the TCP port for SQL, it's using 1433. Then click next. Then allow the connections. In your case, it could be if your company. It depends upon your uh, company's security policy. If your company is very strict, then you can use this type of connection by only allowing a specific server. But in my example, I will allow everything, all connections. So I'll click next. Domain, private, and public for my example. I click that one, tick everything, then click next. In here, I'll name this one SQL TCP port 1433 and click. So TCP port is already open. But if you go to node the source witness server and refresh this one, let's see if node 1 will show. Let's click on the drop down list. No, it's not showing node 1 because we need a UDP port to be open, node 1. Before I will create the UDP port, I'll show you. Minimize this one and go to SQL Server configuration manager. And in here, in the configuration manager in the SQL services, you can see as SQL Server browser. SQL Server browser is using uh, UDP port to be able to connect to this service. You need to make sure you open the port 1433, UDP port 1433, right? Because if you go to the source machine, this portion, the server list, is using the browser services of SQL Server. It's using this service, and to be able to see the value is you need to open the UDP port 1434. Let's go back to node 1 and close this one. Go to the inbound rule, then right click, create new rule, and in the port, click next. In here, I'll select UDP 1434, then click next. All connections, then tick all, and next. And in here, I'll name it SQL UDP port 1434, then finish. So it created 1433 TCP and 1434. Let's go to the witness server and refresh. It should show node 1 in the list. Click, see the one? Node 1 is now in the list. And we enabled the firewall. In node 2, it's showing because we disabled firewall. Let's do the same in node 2. This is just uh, like a rewind. Click on recommended settings. Then go back to witness just to confirm, refresh, then click on the drop down. Node 2 is gone because we enabled the firewall. So let's go back. Let's do the same. Let's just close that one. Sorry. Let's open back the firewall. Then in here, go to the advanced settings and maximize. Inbound rule, right click, port TCP 1433. Then allow connections, same next. SQL TCP port 1433. Then I'll create another inbound rule port UDP 1434. Then click next, allow connections, tick everything. Then SQL UDP port 1434. Then click finish. We enabled the firewall and we added the firewall rules to exempt this port. Okay, so I'll just close that one. Let's go back to the witness server. Then refresh. Node 2 should be showing here. Refresh and click the drop down list. Node 2. See the one, Node 1 and Node 2 showing. And we enabled the firewalls already and created an exemption for that specific ports. So how do we test? In here, we tested that the UDP port is working, is open. But how do we test the TCP port for Node 1, right? How do we test the TCP port? Let's go back to the control panel. The advanced settings. How do we test this one? Inbound rule. UDP by default, it's being used in this server list, in the server list. So UDP is okay, is open. How do we test the TCP port? So to be able to do that, just cancel this one from the witness server. Let's open command prompt and do telnet. Telnet node 114, because TCP port in node 1 we use is 1433, right? 1433. 1433. Then hit enter. If it's black, then it's open. That's how you test that one. So all good, and hope you will uh, hit the like button and click subscribe for more videos to come. Thank you very much for watching.